Hey, the YouTube is about to out you with another Explorist reaction, the controversial rise of Rockstar Games. Let's get right into it, shall we? Hit it.
Rockstar Games is perhaps the most controversial name in gaming. With iconic franchises like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, it consistently pushed the boundaries of what video games can be, and often in problematic ways. But with every release, Rockstar seems to redefine a generation and sell millions upon millions of copies.
This week, Grand Theft Auto 5 pulled in $1 billion in sales in 3 days.
In fact, GTA 5 is one of the highest grossing media titles ever. With over 200 million copies sold, it's the second best-selling game of all time behind Minecraft. And it's made far more money than any music album, book, or movie.
Okay.
But if you've been paying attention, Rockstar is gearing up to release their most anticipated game yet. Fans have been waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 for over 10 years now.
We got a video talking about GTA 6 before the release of GTA 6, which is not actually crazy. It's kind of expected.
And it could be very well the biggest release in gaming history. So while we wait to see how GTA 6 will possibly live up to its hype,
probably die before
let's piece together the 30-year history of Rockstar.
Sure.
And all the highly controversial yet revolutionary games they've made.
Nothing means more to me than this game.
You know, I've been in this game for a lot of years, and I got out alive.
Michael, look at this, huh? New city, new set of problems, but the idiots, they stay the same.
I've lived a bad life. Beating a man for a few bucks. That's all I am. A fighter. A killer. And crazy man.
It's a crazy story, and it all starts with two brothers who knew nothing about programming or game design. They just wanted to be gangsters.
Always wanted to be a gangster. Okay.
Every kid wants to be cooler than his parents, but for Sam and Dan Hauser, that was easier said than done. The Hauser brothers were born in the early 1970s, London. Their father owned a popular jazz club and knew the most famous artists of the day, and their mother was a talented actress who often starred in crime thrillers. Thanks to their mom, Sam and Dan were fascinated by the kind of crime movies she acted in. One time, when one of their dad's friends asked Sam about his dream job, he confidently said he wanted to be a bank robber. But his dream wouldn't become a reality just yet.
Oh.
For now, the Hauser brothers grew up completely immersed in music, movies, art, and everything to do with pop culture. But as they grew up, they began following their interests in different ways. Dan, the younger brother, was more interested in books and literature. He wanted to be a writer. However, in the early 1980s, Sam became obsessed with an exciting new medium, video games.
I mean, I can understand why, because, I mean, amongst the art forms like music, video, like making videos, basically, movies, TV shows, art, I would say like gaming is probably the most interactive medium, and I think it's the only medium that changes which each different person that plays in that medium. You feel me? Like if you watch a movie, generally everyone's going to be getting the same experience unless you watch it in IMAX or maybe you watch it on a regular screen, maybe. Books, same thing. Music. People kind of are receptive to music differently. But games, they're different.
Time, most games were restrictive and linear, but one of Sam's favorite games was called Elite, where you could explore galaxies freely. Sam spent hours in the game living out his crime fantasies by looting enemies and pretending he was a space mugger. To him, Elite was exactly what a video game could be, a piece of art that immersed you in another world. Throughout his childhood, Sam's parents always bought him the latest and greatest game consoles. But for his 18th birthday in 1989, Sam's dad took him on a trip that would change his life forever. Apart from the parks and the towering buildings, Sam fell in love with the speed, the chaos, and the filth of New York City.
Damn.
It fascinated him, and people could tell by the energy he had. During the trip, Sam's dad took him to lunch with an executive from a record label called BMG. He spent the entire time blasting the executive about how he didn't understand youth culture. After the lunch, the executive told Sam's dad, "Your son is an utter lunatic, but he has some good ideas." Sam had just gotten himself a job. Once he started college back in London, Sam would go over to BMG between classes. He worked extremely hard and quickly earned the respect of BMG's senior management, who were planning a major move. You see, in the early 90s, BMG was thinking about expanding its business by publishing movies, but it was an extremely risky bet that required a ton of money. So instead, they made a smaller but potentially more rewarding investment: video games. By this point, the video game industry was at a critical stage. Games weren't taken as seriously as movies and music, but the industry was already worth $7 billion annually. And with Sony introducing the PlayStation soon, it was projected to increase by another $2 billion. So in 1994, BMG started BMG Interactive, a new branch that would publish video games made by outside development studios, similar to how their record label published music from various artists.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're like a game publishing company. Okay.
This small investment could pay off massively if video games were indeed the next big thing. And of course, Sam, who'd been obsessed with games since he was a kid, was confident they were. As soon as he heard about this new interactive division, Sam asked BMG's executives to give him a job there, and they figured he'd be a great addition. Now, despite being just the publisher, making barely £120 a week, and knowing nothing about game development, Sam got involved in every aspect of the games. Most of them were flops, but every so often a game brought in a good chunk of money. So after just 2 years, Sam became the head of development at BMG Interactive. And now, his single obsession was to make video game history. To do that, he only needed one breakout hit of a game, and it was just around the corner.
M for mature. Nice.
In 1996, Sam got a call from a game developer in Scotland called DMA Design. They were making a game called Race and Chase and needed a publisher to help get it out there. DMA called Race and Chase a living, breathing city. Players could freely explore and chase criminals around it. That's exactly what it was. But there was a problem. The game was terrible. You see, DMA wanted to make Race and Chase as realistic as possible. And since you played as the police, that meant following a strict set of rules. It felt more of a simulator than a game, and it was boring. But Sam had some inspired ideas about how to improve it. For starters, what if you didn't have to stop at the red lights?
Yeah.
What if you could pass the speed limit?
Basically, live another form, like live another life. Basically, why do you have to obey the rules in a video game?
If you could drive on the sidewalk? Then he took it a step further. What if instead of the cop, you were the criminal? What if you could steal other people's vehicles? What if you didn't have to avoid pedestrians? What if you actually got...
Okay, the not avoiding pedestrians part is like, if you play any of the GTA games, is like, what's the right word, right? It's like a mark of initiation, you feel me? If you played a GTA game, you would know like that part in your soul, where the first thing you do in a nice car is, well, let's run over people. just, which sounds crazy, I get it, but we all done it.
Points for running them over.
Okay, now hold on a second. Points for running them over is something that's... Okay, wait, hold on a second. Wait, that is crazy.
Shoot the police.
Yeah.
Just like that, Race and Chase became a completely different game. And it was a hell of a lot more fun.
Best game ever!
It also meant that Race and Chase wasn't a good fit anymore.
Right.
But Sam had the perfect replacement, Grand Theft Auto.
Huh.
Sam and the DMA team fell in love with this new vision, and it was at this point that Sam's other brother, Dan, who had just gotten his literature degree from Oxford University, joined the team. Unlike books and movies, which are consumed passively, video games are interactive.
Right.
So they were an exciting opportunity for Dan to experiment with writing. Since Dan was equally as fascinated with gangster flicks and pop culture as Sam, the Housers stuffed GTA with as many movie references, rebellious songs, and fun criminal activities as they could.
I got a warning for you from Bald Man Sonetti. Cross him again, I'll stick a gun up your ass and blow your f***ing eyeballs out.
At this point, no video game had gone to these lengths, so the team knew it would be controversial. but they actually leaned into it for their
Because controversy sells, right? It's one of those things where it's like, oh God, it's hideous. Where? It's just like, take my money. You feel me? It's a good business practice.
marketing. Before GTA even released, parents were getting very concerned. The Guardian called it the most controversial game in a decade. And even the House of Lords were ranting about how scandalous it was. But the question remained,
Sure.
would anyone even like it?
No. I think people kind of just, like to disregard the fact that there are so many people that just have to listen to so many different things every day, live by the rules every day, that when they are presented with the opportunity to have a non-consequential way of satiating that thirst of breaking all known laws and rules in a video game, they would immediately leap at the chance to do it. 100%. Like, that wasn't even I can't believe this was even a question. I feel like, bro, it's the most commonsensical thing someone will be thinking. It's like, are you telling me people don't want to have RPGs and guns and then shoot it at people, but not in real life, but in a game? It's like, absolutely.
The first Grand Theft Auto released on November 28th, 1997, and the response was mixed.
Really?
Some reviewers complained about GTA's outdated top-down graphics and unreliable controls.
Fair.
But others praised it for how fun and addictive it was,
Right.
and how much freedom players had.
Still classic in my
GTA
eyes.
sales weren't particularly impressive, but they were unusual. Most games have a sales spike on release and then quickly die off.
Right. But it's like the classical thing of, if a game is good enough, it's always going to see some form of sustained sales and peaks in like the the holiday season and stuff like that.
GTA was the complete opposite. The sales were slow on release, but they grew every week because players were recommending the game to their friends. In the end, GTA stayed in the top 20 charts for an impressive 1.5 years and sold over 1 million copies.
So, success.
However, despite GTA's success, Sam and Dan's jobs were under threat. It wasn't their fault. BMG's executives didn't understand gaming. And for some reason, they made the costly mistake of opening 27 new offices around the world.
If you don't understand your business and you try expanding too fast, you gonna burn out of money.
Rather than plug the hole in their balance sheet, they decided to sell off their gaming division. And so in 1998, BMG Interactive was bought for $14.2 million by a New York-based company that'll be important in the story.
Take-Two, right? Yeah.
Take-Two
They're still around today.
Interactive. Now, Take-Two was also a video game publisher, and it was actually Sam who connected with the CEO because they had a plan. You see, Take-Two's games were a lot more family-friendly than GTA. So instead of simply being absorbed, BMG Interactive became a subsidiary of Take-Two. And since Sam wanted to keep the edgy, rebellious culture he'd built, he gave it the appropriate rebrand to Rockstar Games. Apart from Rockstar, Sam became Take-Two's vice president in worldwide product development, which made him responsible for all the studios making games under Take-Two. DMA Design, the Scottish company that made GTA, was a third-party studio, completely separate from Take-Two, and it had actually been acquired 2 times in the last few years. But in 1999, Take-Two bought DMA Design for $11 million and turned it into Rockstar North.
Oh, that's
Now, both the
interesting.
development and publishing sides of GTA were under Take-Two's control. At this point, though, GTA was still relatively underground, and Rockstar Games still had to prove it could live up to its name.
Right.
So the Hauser brothers and the rest of the rebels at Rockstar made a promise. No matter what people in the industry thought, they would publish the sorts of games they wanted to play, not least of which was a sequel to their crown jewel, Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, wait, they released Midnight Club?
They wanted to play, not least of which was a sequel to their crown jewel.
Bro, Midnight Club DUB edition on the PSP it has a special place in my heart. You feel me? That game was the right side of grimy. You feel me? It was like you were in an illegal street racing gang. You feel me? Those are good games.
Jewel, Grand Theft Auto.
And to be honest, like that, you gotta respect the vision, because as far as people kind of look at it and say, "Oh my God," but it's so different from my realm of morality. At the same time, they tell compelling stories. They make great games, and they provide experiences that you could not have gotten anywhere else. You feel me? And for that level of originality, they should be praised. I disagree with a little bit, maybe not a little bit, quite a bit, with like a lot of Rockstar's like recent practices in terms of publishing and copyright. Regardless, They make great games.
Their plan was to make GTA the biggest franchise in the industry, even if it meant sparking some of the most heated controversies in gaming history. But here's the thing.
I'm after the rise of Rockstar, yeah?
On October 22nd, 1999, Rockstar Games released Grand Theft Auto 2. And while it definitely improved upon some aspects of the first one, reviewers unanimously agreed it was a lackluster sequel.
Right, because I think GTA...
Part of the reason for this was that Take-Two Interactive gave DMA Design a very tight release window. And as a result, the graphics were just as outdated as the first one. Also, games like Metal Gear Solid were proving the immense potential of interactive storytelling. But GTA 2 had none of that.
To be fair, that's an unfair comparison. But to be fair, Metal Gear Solid it's legendary. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Instead, you played as a silent
tough competition, I'm afraid, yeah.
protagonist in a futuristic setting called Anywhere City.
Oh, which falls on the... Okay.
To give it credit, though, GTA 2 had its core formula intact. So, despite all its shortcomings, there were still gangs to fight, pedestrians to run over, and cops to run from. The game was still fun, and people seemed to enjoy it.
Right.
Grand Theft Auto 2 went on to sell over 2 million copies, twice that the original GTA
Still
did.
successful?
So as far as Rockstar and Take-Two were concerned, that warranted another sequel. But this one would be different.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Got 15 seconds here. Want to get a countdown from you? Let's go. Let's go.
Sony PlayStation 2.
I'm not gonna lie. The PlayStation 2, right? Just to understand how big it was, I remember when I was a kid when my dad got me my PlayStation 2, the big fat one. And I'll always remember the day he bought it because I always wondered why he did that. And he's always a person who never wants to buy nice things. That's kind of the way my dad is. It is what it is. But I remember him getting the PS2. It was like, son, you're gonna have GTA Vice City. You feel me? Is sure, Dad. Thank you. I remember playing it. I was like, oh my god, this game is incredible. Because to a kid who's never played that much video games before, the only games I played at the time was like from the Game Boy, Pokemon Emerald, and then suddenly you see the jump up to what the PS2 could do was like, oh my god. What is just like nunny? This is possible? It was just great times. I unfortunately I wasn't in the era with like the Xbox kid who kids who were playing Halo, but PlayStation 2 was where it was at, in my opinion.
Will be the biggest thing to come along since TV was invented. The buzz on this product is that strong.
And to be fair, the PS2 went on to become, if I'm not wrong, the PS2 went on to become the I don't know if it's the largest selling console or was it now the Switch. I'm pretty sure the original Nintendo Switch is still number 2, with PS2 still taking the number 1 spot, if I'm not wrong.
PlayStation 2, newest fastest video game system ever.
At the same time, Sony was about to release the PlayStation 2,
which
opened up a world of possibilities for game developers.
Legendary system.
And now that DMA Design had become Rockstar North, they were free to take as much time as they needed to make GTA 3 the best entry in the series. Sam and Dan's ideas for it were incredibly ambitious. Instead of just one game, they'd release 3 over the span of a few years, each set in a different city around the United States. GTA 3's Liberty City was modeled after New York City, Vice City on Miami, and San Andreas on the state of California. They got started on GTA 3 right away. And it was perfect timing because the new Rockstar office was right in New York. Thanks to the new PlayStation, Rockstar was able to make a vivid recreation of the city in 3D. But while that made the game much more immersive than its predecessors, the real innovation was GTA 3's story.
Right.
This time, you weren't just driving around a city wreaking havoc. At the start
My god. Bro, that theme, as it plays, brings back memories, bro. It's just a short snippet as well. Bro, the memories.
This time, you weren't just driving around a city wreaking havoc.
Oh, that takes me back.
At the start of the game, the protagonist is betrayed by his girlfriend on a heist.
Right.
Sorry, babe. I'm an ambitious girl.
Yep.
But on his way to prison, his transport is hijacked, giving him a chance to escape.
Right.
For the rest of the game, play.
And then you're on the bridge, you take the car, and you head into the city. Oh god, this. This game has a special place in my heart, bro.
Players are making a name for themselves in Liberty City's criminal underworld,
Yeah.
with the ultimate goal of getting revenge.
Yeah.
Experience has taught me that a man like you can be very loyal for the right price.
Let's teach these would-be tough guys what it means to be a tough guy.
Much of this was thanks to Dan, who was the lead writer on the whole series.
Right.
The story was definitely cliche, but that was intentional.
Yeah.
GTA 3 is filled with characters and references.
And this character screen, when it's loading as well, you have all those unique characters, and then you enter into the game, and it just has like that small background theme playing before you go and hijack a car. It's just, there is just something classy about it that I don't think it's like one of those aspects in video game design where I don't think I've seen it in a lot of other games, except for either Elden Ring and maybe I actually don't appreciate. Maybe Nier Automata as well. I give it like that. Because those games have such a unique way of getting you into the gameplay loop, so much so that you enjoy the process. Like, there are some games you pick up and then you don't want to either put down, but there are some games you pick up, you put down, you leave them for 2 or 3 days, and then you don't want to go back to them. But there are some games where you enjoy the gameplay, you put them down for maybe weeks at a time, you come back in, and you get straight right back into the story. You feel me? Those are the games that go on to do some incredible things.
That are ripped straight out of the crime thrillers that the Hauser brothers grew up watching.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's right. It was, I mean, to be fair, not looking back, it was cliche, sure. But
And of course, there were the famous radio stations with iconic music
yep.
and funny conversations that make the world feel alive.
That was whatever with good things.
Sam and Dan wanted GTA 3 to really feel like an interactive gangster movie.
Right.
So violence and gore was dialed up to 11.
This is it. I'm way over my head and I'm starting to drown here. The CIA seems to have a vested interest in Spank, and they don't like us screwing with the cartel.
You could even drive off into an alleyway with certain women. You'd lose some cash and your health meter would go up. Clearly, something seedy was going on, but once it was over, you could run the women over with your car and get your money back.
Allegedly.
Obviously, Rockstar was in for a media scandal. But whereas they had previously used controversy to market GTA, this time it could actually get them into trouble.
Okay.
You see, to protect younger players from playing violent, gory, or sexual games, video games have a rating system that ranges from E for everyone to AO for adults only. Rockstar.
That's actually interesting. I have never seen a game that has an AO rating. I don't think I've ever seen a single game that has an AO rating. I've seen E for everyone, I've seen M for mature, and I think maybe PG, but never AO.
Rockstar was
AO.
aiming for a mature rating, which is compatible to an R-rated movie. But due to GTA's violent and sexual content, there was a genuine chance it could get an adults-only rating, which meant major retailers like Walmart and Best Buy, where they got a good share of their sales, wouldn't carry the game.
Oh, that's interesting. Makes sense. You don't want the game to get an AO rating since most of the major retailers won't be able to stock the game. So you make sure no matter what you do, you stay on the edge of what's allowed in mature so people can still buy the game. That's smart. Yeah, that's got to be the business decision to keep making money.
And with just around a month left until release, the worst possible thing that could happen happened.
Okay.
Sam Hauser watched from his apartment.
Oh, I didn't even get the context of that until I saw. Okay, well, yeah, sure. Sorry about that. It took me a minute to why are we? Oh, it's 2001. So
Sam Hauser watched from his apartment window as the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center went up in flames.
Damn.
It was a terrifying time for New York, but for Rockstar, whose controversial new game was set in a city not unlike New York, it was time to sound the alarms. With just a few weeks until release, Sam and Dan contemplated whether they should even release GTA 3. Maybe it would be too controversial, or even disrespectful. Thankfully, though, they knew that beneath all the satire, the violence, and the sex, GTA 3 was a love letter to New York City.
That's right, because I think the game, there's just something beautiful about it, man. There is just something that's just so, not reproducible about the game in a lot of newer games that I've seen. There's just something. It's cliched, but it's perfect in the way that it pulls out its imperfections, right? It's rough around the edges. Definitely the graphics don't hold up to current day standards, but there is just a certain enjoyment you get when you take up a PS2 controller and you get back into this game, bro. I'm glad they released it. I'm glad they released this game.
And the United States. Instead of canning the whole game, Rockstar took its version of the Twin Towers out of the map, removed the flight feature, and cut down on the gore.
Now, did they keep it that way forever though?
In the end, this actually helped them get a mature rating. But even with these changes, GTA 3 was still pushing a ton of boundaries. So once it went up for sale, it was an instant controversy.
Of course.
Much of it revolved around the sex scenes and the violent ways you could get your money back. Parents and governments were outraged, and Australia even completely banned the game.
The technical wizardry has attracted loyal fans, but the graphic violence has attracted angry critics. Announced by Congress here in the US, the game has been outlawed in Australia, and several other countries are also considering.
I'm not gonna lie, that ban probably helped push another few million sales.
Bans.
But really, GTA 3's controversy was completely overshadowed by its sheer success.
Yeah.
Reviewers had glowing praises to sing for it.
Yeah.
And gamers were recommending it heartily to their friends.
The thing is, I even recognize this place in the game where you turn right and you kind of have like this alleyway where you park. It's towards the beginning of the game.
Friends.
This is bringing up so many good memories,
GTA 3
man.
was the fastest selling and highest grossing PS2 title.
I would not be surprised. I think back in the day it was hard to find someone who did not have a PS2 who did not have this game.
It made $400 million in its first year, and to date, it has sold over 14 million copies.
Yeah.
The verdict was in. GTA 3 was fun, innovative, but perhaps the most impressive thing was that it grew the video game industry like no other game before it. At the time, most people thought of gaming as a hobby for nerds and geeks, but GTA appealed to a mainstream audience and introduced millions of people to gaming. As one Rockstar producer put it, this is to show that video games don't have to be about hobgoblins and dwarves. At around
World of War shout out, I guess?
At the same time, Rockstar had released 2 other games that also reached the top 10 charts. So in the 4
I
months
heard about Max Payne, but I haven't
after
played it.
GTA 3's release, Take-Two Interactive stock nearly tripled from $7 to almost $20. This was incredible news for Rockstar.
Having stocks at $7 is got to be the best deal on the planet. Oh Jesus, man! Could you imagine stocks at one single digits? You feel me? Looking at every other stock in the stock market right now.
Rockstar, but it put the Hauser brothers in a difficult position. How on earth could they possibly top this? Well,
you make a better game.
the next entry in the GTA trilogy, Vice City, would be set in Miami in the 1980s.
Still love the game.
What Sam and Dan considered the golden age of crime.
Yeah.
The game's budget was $5 million, but since GTA's game engine was already state-of-the-art, Rockstar could focus on perfecting the tech and adding features so that the world was even more immersive. Whereas most games used bland color schemes to save on graphics processing, Vice City brought 1980s Miami to life in all its neon glory.
Yep.
Nice bike.
The story was also improved. Dan was finding his voice as a game writer, and this time he wrote a classic story of ambition, betrayal, and revenge inspired by iconic movies and TV shows like Scarface and Miami Vice. To add to the immersion, Rockstar hired famous actors from gangster movies like Ray Liotta
Doing a voice for Grand Theft Auto, the game.
and Burt Reynolds to voice major characters in the game. And of course, there were also a combined 900 pages worth of pedestrian dialogue and
Damn, okay.
radio scripts to fill the world with
That
life.
makes sense. Not looking back. Yeah, that is fair.
When Vice City released in October 2002, it was, again, an instant sensation
it was a game changer,
with
yeah.
reviewers and fans alike. The game sold 1.4 million copies in its first 2 days, making it the fastest-selling game ever at the time. Eventually, Vice City went on to sell more copies than GTA
Than
3,
3, yeah.
and it skyrocketed Take-Two Interactive's revenue to over $1 billion.
Right.
Suddenly, Rockstar Games was the coolest brand in gaming, and the industry could no longer ignore the impact of Grand Theft Auto.
Because it's not just like one offshoot fluke success. It's consistent banger, 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 mega banger. You feel me? It's just, I guess there's some gaming companies that just don't have that kind of vision. So you basically have like an offshoot, like an idea that may work once, but you can't keep repeating it for the same sake of just saying, oh, but you can keep making more games and then expect people to just keep falling in love with it. Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, Rockstar Games they're pretty good. Pretty damn good.
Papi, un gran problema.
Yeah.
My son, what happened? The Haitians. I hate these Haitians.
But of course, Vice City's release came with its share of controversies. One particular mission asked the player to, quote, all the Haitians.
Is this going back to the whole, that infamous elevator scene from from you know where? You feel me? It's fair, yeah.
This was a huge issue. The Haitian American community fired up in protest. And even the spokesperson for the president of Haiti said that Vice City was racist, psychologically extremely dangerous, and an incitement of genocide. Because of this, Rockstar got sued for hundreds of millions of dollars and heavily criticized by the media. They had to issue a formal apology and remove certain lines from future versions of the game.
Okay.
But while lawyers and PR people were dealing with the controversies publicly, the Hauser brothers and the developers at Rockstar were already hard at work on their biggest game yet.
Right.
The next Grand Theft Auto would be more violent, more racially tense, and more sexual than any of its predecessors. And one tiny mistake would place it at the center of the most heated controversy in gaming history.
Oh, yeah.
Rockstar Games has done it again. Ladies and gentlemen, Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas.
Oh, shit.
Here we go again.
Worst place in the world. Rolling Heights baller country. Now, I ain't represented Grove Street in 5 years, but the ballers won't give a shit.
Face, I spit it harder than anybody in the world could do. It's like sucks. Damn, my shit was whack.
Okay.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas would be
that theme music had no right going that hard, bro.
The most ambitious game in Rockstar's history.
I
The
mean,
game's map
till date.
included versions of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Las Vegas.
Ooh.
And everything about it would be bigger and better than anything Rockstar had ever done. That included the controversial aspects of the GTA formula. For starters, the story would follow a black protagonist at the height of the gang warfare in early 1990s LA. That was a bold move, and Rockstar worried that the ESRB, which gives games their age rating...
Yes, you do. ESRB is just looking at this game like with the AO rating. It's like, I just want to stamp it, but they made a banger though. Mature. You feel me? That is, you cannot tell me that's literally what happened at the ESRB offices.
that they were mockingly stereotyping black people, when in reality, this was Dan's most profound, most well-thought-out story yet.
You haven't forgotten about us, have you, boy?
Hell no, Officer Tenpenny. I was just wondering what took y'all so long.
But this really was the least of Rockstar's concerns. You see, Sam was frustrated that regulators didn't treat video games like other forms of entertainment. Nudity and sex were a staple of R-rated movies. So why couldn't video games have them and get a mature rating instead of adults only? Sam thought this was unfair, and he wanted to prove his point. So in San Andreas, he gave players the ability to meet and seduce 6 girlfriends. And there was a minigame where you could have a variety of sexual interactions with them, all of which were completely uncensored. The only question was whether San Andreas would actually get a mature rating with this minigame in the disc. But after consulting with the ESRB, the answer was clear. If the game had explicit sex scenes, it would get an adults-only rating.
But that's interesting. Okay.
Sam was furious, but if he didn't cut the girlfriend minigame from San Andreas, major retailers would refuse to sell it. Simply put, it wasn't a smart business move. So, with just a few weeks left until release, Sam had to ask his developers to remove it.
Wow.
But this wasn't as simple as it sounds. At this point, Rockstar's developers couldn't risk deleting a massive chunk of the game's code.
Without risking something else crashing in between, sure.
That could create a ton of bugs.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be enough time to find and fix them. So instead of deleting the mini-game entirely, Rockstar's developers used a common technique called wrapping, where they basically hide unused code and make it inaccessible. As far as players knew, they could drive their girlfriends home, she'd invite them in for a little coffee.
How about a little coffee?
And the camera would shake from the outside.
Oh, CJ, I love you.
Okay.
But technically, the minigame was still in there, hidden deep in the code.
Sure.
At least for now, because Sam had a plan. Rockstar would release San Andreas for PC around a year after releasing it for consoles. Sam's plan was to update the PC version after a few months and reintroduce the girlfriend minigame. That way, Rockstar could profit from the initial sales spike with a mature rating and transition the game
to the AO rating down the line when they do update.
To adults only later.
Okay.
But either way, with the girlfriend minigame wrapped inside the console version, Rockstar sent their latest game off to the ESRB.
That's interesting. I actually don't know how the story plays out. Surprising. So that's interesting. So did they... I don't think the consoles would still allow it though. Yeah, I don't think they could have made an update so that the consoles could have this version, but the PC, doable.
They gave it a mature rating, and it went up for sale in October 2004.
Sure.
As usual, fans and reviewers alike called GTA San Andreas Rockstar's masterpiece.
San Andreas takes the series to a new level by taking the action statewide and providing a delirious amount of variety in its gameplay.
It's the most successful PS2 title ever, and has sold over 27 million copies throughout the years.
Wow.
San Andreas achieved a new level of mainstream success, yet again introducing millions of people to gaming. But at the same time, there was a passionate community of modders who weren't just interested in the game, but also how they could improve it. In previous GTAs, modders would have scoured the codebase and found a vehicle, a weapon, or a few lines of dialogue that didn't make it into the final game.
Everybody is my cousin. Brothers from different mothers, sisters from different fathers, and all that kind of shit.
This time, though, they found a minigame with something much more provocative. Now, modding the console version of GTA was practically impossible, so the modders couldn't do much for now. But the moment San Andreas released on PC, that all changed.
Right.
Remember, Sam was planning to add the minigame to the PC version of San Andreas in the future, but the modding community was way ahead of him. They already knew where to find the sex scenes, and they instantly built a mod that let you play them.
Now, I know you blind, man.
So you just basically undo the wrapping.
Gotta see this. Very clever. So what's the prognosis?
Since the protagonist's girlfriends often invited him into their homes for coffee, the mod was called Hot Coffee. And when it came out, Rockstar made a huge mistake. The Hot Coffee mod went instantly viral, but Rockstar claimed that the modders had created it out of thin air. If this was true, it would have ended the problem immediately, but of course, it wasn't. The ESRB launched an investigation and found that the girlfriend minigame was, in fact, coded into every single copy of San Andreas.
Okay.
Rockstar was caught red-handed, and it became the biggest scandal the game industry had ever seen.
I still don't get it, though. The game is still safe, because it's still wrapped code. And if it was going to get an update, it's going to get for the PC, and which would then transition the ratings from mature to AO. But because modders released it ahead of time, suddenly there's a controversy.
Suddenly, the modding community felt betrayed. Parents were incensed that Rockstar had exposed their children to sexually explicit content, and the ESRB was reeling. They had spent years getting on regulators' good graces, and now Senator Hillary Clinton was threatening to pass a bill that would restrict video game content.
We are determined to stop a
if this wasn't a PR stunt, I'd be surprised, but okay, sure.
situation in which video games with pornographic and violent content are being peddled to our children.
Potentially leading to censorship and limiting creativity across the country.
Damn.
And it was all Rockstar's fault. Ultimately, the bill didn't pass thanks to ESRB, gamers, and free speech advocates pushing back. But Rockstar and Take-Two Interactive were brutally punished. Firstly, Rockstar had to accept getting San Andreas re-rated to adults only, which meant Walmart, who accounted for 20% of Rockstar's sales, along with dozens of other retailers, immediately stopped selling it.
Sure.
Australia banned it completely, and Rockstar would have to spend around $25 million to fix, recall, and re-rate San Andreas to get it back on store shelves.
Oh God. The thing is, right, and this is because it comes from two perspectives, and I have to kind of obviously reconciliate the second part of the perspective, which is I'm a person who's loved collecting physical games. Like, physical game copies have been kind of like something I've enjoyed to do in the background. It's like one of those collectible things I've just been happy with. And the Nintendo Switch has been one of those consoles where, not sponsored to say this, where it's been easy to collect a lot of game cartridges, you feel me? The Switch 2, not so much. I understand from like the Rockstar perspective of we no longer release physical games anymore because they don't want a situation like this ever happening again, but it also gives them more like freedom and control to distribute it on any platform. Like, regardless if it's on Steam, I'm actually not sure. I'm pretty sure Steam has an ESRB rating, but I don't think there's a difference in the rating of mature or adults only. I think it's still going to appear regardless of who's on Steam. You feel me? Now, of course, Steam for kids, 100% different story. It's only going to be like for everyone rated games. Understandable. But that being said, I hate the fact that they did it. Like, you don't really get to buy physical copies of these games anymore. Like, at least the later copies, like GTA 5 at all. But it is what it is. I don't think GTA 5 was ever offered physically, if I'm not wrong. I think it could be. No, I don't think it ever was. Huh.
Take-Two's stock dropped 13%, and the bad press even spilled over to other Rockstar games like Bully, The Warriors, and GTA spin-offs for the PSP. By the end of 2006, Take-Two Interactive had lost $184.9 million.
Wow.
But apart from that, the city of Los Angeles sued Take-Two for deceptive marketing. The Manhattan District Attorney launched a criminal investigation into Rockstar.
What?
And the Federal Trade Commission started investigating whether they had intentionally tried to defraud the ESRB. Protesters gathered outside Rockstar's New York office. They got dozens of class action lawsuits, and 3 of the 5 Rockstar co-founders quit within a year.
Wow.
Now it was just Sam and Dan Houser. So apart from burning a hole in Rockstar and Take-Two's pockets, the hot coffee scandal was a public embarrassment, and it sent both companies into disarray.
Sure.
All things considered, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and the GTA trilogy as a whole was still a remarkable success.
True.
So the Rockstar brand was just as attractive to new and ambitious game developers. After such a dramatic series of events, Sam and Dan had an opportunity to start again fresh. And as is tradition with the Houser brothers, their plans for Rockstar Games were, of course, bigger than ever before.
Of course. The Rockstar age.
The Grand Theft Auto trilogy catapulted Sam and Dan Houser to global fame and infamy. But even at the time, GTA was just one piece of the puzzle. Take-Two Interactive owns Rockstar Games, the company Sam and Dan started. But they don't actually make games. They just publish them. Instead, Rockstar owns subsidiary studios like Rockstar North, the main developers behind the GTA trilogy, and in the last few years, they had acquired a handful of other studios to develop games like Bully, Manhunt, Smuggler's Run, Midnight Club, and Max Payne.
I didn't even know Rockstar had like different colored variations of those logos, but that's cool.
One of these was a small company called Angel Studios, which became Rockstar
San Diego. Huh.
They developed a Western shooter called Red Dead Revolver, which wasn't a massive hit, but in an unexpected way, it ended up saving the company. You see, Rockstar's biggest games like GTA used a popular game engine called Renderware. But in 2004, EA, one of the industry's biggest publishers, bought the company that made it. Since Rockstar was EA's direct competitor, they weren't going to let them use Renderware for much longer. Normally, this would have been a huge problem. Without an engine, Rockstar Studios couldn't make games, but luckily, the San Diego team came to the rescue. Red Dead Revolver actually ran on a proprietary engine they'd been building for years now. So instead of a problem, Rockstar's engine situation was an opportunity. Just before GTA San Andreas came out, Sam told the San Diego team to revamp their game engine. It was perfect timing, because the PS3 and the Xbox 360 were just around the corner.
Which were, I think, massive improvements in terms of computation for gaming, but like the PS3 chip, surprisingly, till this date is, I'm pretty sure it's still hard to emulate some PS3 games because of how they made their chips specifically designed. Like, it's a really weird architecture, but really powerful. The thing is, coding games to work for that chip took a lot of effort. Makes sense. The Xbox 360 on the other hand was just popular. Like it's just been great.
And they could make full use of the new hardware. The result was the Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, or Rage for short.
So we've created a new game engine to replace renderware. We're calling it the Rockstar Advanced Game Engine. Rage.
From now on, it would be the foundation of every Rockstar game, not the least of which was their highly anticipated next installment of their flagship franchise, GTA 4. Rockstar North was on that, and as far as the San Diego team, their little western cowboy shooter was odd, but it had potential, so why not turn it into something? Sam and Dan had a budget of $100 million for GTA 4, but they only cared about one thing: reducing the Grand Theft Auto formula to its bare essentials and making sure each component was perfect. The setting was once again modern-day Liberty City, and for Sam and Dan, every detail mattered.
Oh, yeah! There she is. Liberty City. Yeah.
The developers studied everything from New York's architecture to its traffic patterns, the ethnic demographics of each neighborhood, and even things players would never see, like its sewage systems. This time they would truly bring New York to life. And thanks to the Rage engine and the powerful new consoles, Rockstar could build more detailed, higher definition graphics, complex 3D maps and interiors, and realistic physics.
I don't think people like definitely the younger generation understands just how big of a leap each generation of consoles was. Like the generational leaps in how good a game looked was spectacular. You feel me? Compared to the minor upgrades you see nowadays, these upgrades were insane.
GTA 4 looked more realistic than ever, but it wasn't just about what you could see. Dan kicked the storytelling up a notch as well. He didn't romanticize crime like previous games had.
During the war, we did some bad things, and bad things happened to us. War is where the young and stupid are tricked by the old and bitter into killing each other.
You know, somehow doing a reaction to this in a very certain heated political time like this, hey, the universe has a strange way of speaking through the mediums, you feel me? It's just God and his influence just being like, haha, sparkle that irony. Yeah.
Instead of relying on gangster movie tropes, the game followed a morally ambiguous protagonist, Nico Bellic.
Nico, my cousin! I can't believe it, you're here! Welcome to America!
As he grappled with his past and dealt with the harsh realities of the American dream.
What do you think about America, Nico? Tell me straight. You love it, no?
I don't know, Roman. It is the same as any other place, only louder. People don't know how to shut up here. So, you full of crap or what?
What?
The story had real emotional depth, and that was one of the key reasons why when GTA 4 released in the summer of 2008, it became the best reviewed game in history and brought in over $310 million in just one day.
I think that's more than enough money to make up for what happened the last time they had a controversy, so fair enough.
To date, GTA 4 has sold over 28 million copies. Many still consider it by far the best entry in the series, and it's no stretch to say that it redefined what a video game could be.
Right.
Not a glorified toy, but real art.
Yep.
Sam Houser had finally achieved his dream, but in reality, he was barely getting started. 2 years later, Rockstar released Red Dead Redemption, which was made by the San Diego studio.
Right.
Like GTA, Red Dead places the player at opposite sides of the law, except this time, it's not LA or New York City. It's the Wild West. Red Dead has sold more than 23 million copies and gotten dozens of awards for its immersive gameplay and story. Its success proved that Rockstar wasn't just a GTA company, but at this point, they were at a crossroads. With a budget of around $100 million, GTA 4 took hundreds of people 3.5 years to make. Red Dead Redemption.
Like an actual production studio. It was like actually like on the sets of like movie theaters and like actual like, you know, production houses, like even orchestras. Like, yeah, there were genuinely a lot of people putting in the time and energy to make that art form happen and work.
It cost around $90 million and it took 5 years to make.
Yep.
And next GTA, which was coming out 5 years after GTA 4.
The one that would go on to define a generation, bro.
Or reportedly had thousands of people involved in the game in one way or another and a budget of $265 million.
Understandable.
Every time Rockstar made a new game, it was bigger, more expensive, and took longer to make than the last one.
Oh, yeah?
That's just the reality of making increasing...
And it's one of those things where I know, like, we don't really talk about it in the sense of, like, how far gaming has come. But I think the reality has always been, like, you look at the different type of consoles that we've seen through not only just the video, but through the years. I guess we basically get to say that we're living a bit into the future, you feel me? This is what living in the future feels like. Because, it was a pipe dream when I was a kid to see graphics like what I saw in GTA 5. I can only imagine, and that's kind of the unfortunate expectation that's on Rockstar right now, what GTA 6 is going to be capable of. Because this, this basically sets the pace on to what the next generation of gaming is supposed to look like. Because it's easy to sit from this perspective now, look at the past and basically make an estimation to say, well, obviously that's what they should have done to get where they are at right now. But when you're living in the moment, you don't know what the next generation is going to look like, what the next generation of the game is going to look like. So this, GTA 6, has got some huge shoes to fill.
Longer to make than the last one. That's just the reality of making increasingly ambitious games. But since the plan was to make them even crazier, Rockstar's situation got a little complicated.
Right.
No business functions properly if it relies on one or two big sales spikes every decade.
Right.
So, Rockstar had to make a bold strategic move. As usual, GTA 5's main story would massively improve upon every aspect of the GTA formula. But instead of forcing fans to wait years for another release, Rockstar would invest millions of dollars to make extra content for GTA 5's new online mode. This would drive more sales in the long term, and they could also monetize it by adding microtransactions and give them consistent revenue until the next GTA, however long that might take.
So basically you're not building just one product, one standalone physical game anymore, which is why they stopped being physical sales. It became an idea that you have a game that's so big that you wanted money flowing in like a form of an ecosystem within the game so that multiple people stay connected online, get to enjoy the world, and it becomes even more immersive because you're now interacting with actual players, hackers even. And for better or for worse, it helps fund them to make the next big thing, which is going to take them into the future, you feel me? But that being said, the trade-off to get here is where it puts people at crossroads, bro, because you are going away from the physical format, which may be a dated formula in my opinion, which I still enjoy, into a format which is truly online. You still have a mainline story, but you get all these extra content that are either like DLCs, like downloadable content, or even like online modes, where you gotta pay to play. And it's not a one-time purchase of the game. It's just a constant recurring subscription fee that people are gonna be ready to put money on the line for, you feel me? It's the future of gaming, baby. It is what it is.
So with this strategy in place, all that was left to do was wait until GTA 5 released on September 17th, 2013. Not even Rockstar themselves could have predicted how unimaginably successful their game would be.
My God!
It's not even as a joke. I don't think I forgot the fact that it's been 10 plus years since GTA 5 released. Because it's very easy to forget that, like, it was before I went to college. I came out of college, got a job, spent a few years in a job, and it's still within the lifetime of GTA 5. Is crazy.
Look at this, new city, new set of problems.
Yeah.
But the idiots, they stay the
Same.
same.
Yep, I guess. Look, man, it's been a real honor, homie. But I gotta move forward in my life.
We forget 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them?
Life is just one long mystery. Ooh.
More than 11 years after its launch, GTA 5 has sold a mind-warping 205 million copies.
Don't even get started on the subscription fees. The amount of money they make.
This is Grand Theft Auto. I would never queue for any other game in the world. I mean, I've loved Grand Theft Auto since I was a kid, and this is the reason I'm queuing. I mean, it's just one of my favorite games of all time.
Making it the second best-selling game ever, only behind Minecraft.
Their entire, like, just for context, their entire YouTube channels, and like I can even say the Sidemen even to an extent, the amount of content that people have made on GTA 5, monetized the entire channels, like taken some channels to like the top of the charts, like the tippity top of the charts on YouTube. Yeah, GTA 5 is. You can't understand it, bro. Like you could have new games that come and go, but rarely are there games that are just basically gems or like diamonds in the rough. Then there's the GTA games, specifically 5.
The GTA Online play turned out to be a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
It's estimated that between game sales and microtransactions from the online mode, GTA 5 has generated over $8.6 billion in...
Jesus Christ, that is a mind-boggling amount of money.
Revenue, making it one of the highest
And $205 million for physical sales, for $265 million in actual like money input into the game to develop it. Oh my God. And that's enough cash flow for them to keep running until the next game.
Pieces of media ever.
Like, of course, you got to understand, like, people obviously see the huge amount of money. They're like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. It's like, absolutely, because they not only need to be profitable, but I'm imagining the amount of money they're pouring in resources and the development time needed to build in, like, the next generation console. The next generation console release is insane.
This week, Grand Theft Auto 5 pulled in $1 billion in sales in 3 days.
Yeah.
No movie or music release has ever come close to that.
But if we've learned anything about Sam and Dan Houser, it's that they're always working on the next best thing.
Right.
We know what it is now. Grand Theft Auto 6 is the most hyped game of all time.
Yeah, but I'm not even gonna lie, bro. This game better be like this game. I don't know how high people's expectations are for this game, but now that we're in the actual internet age where everyone has real-time feedback and understanding from different people globally, I can only imagine what people's expectations of this game are going to be.
But this time the world is watching.
Yeah.
Everyone has one question.
Yeah.
Can they deliver?
This is literally like stock market, like speculation all over again, except it's no longer stocks, it's no longer options, it's literally about video games, and you best believe there are bets going on right now. Can they deliver? Rockstar versus the hype. That's what they're going up against. Remember when they dropped the trailer for GTA 6? The leaked trailer apparently, where it's not finished. People weren't happy.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Fellowship Award. Rockstar Games and welcome Sam Houser, Dan Houser, Leslie Benjies, and Aaron Garbett.
After the monumental success of GTA 5, players were wondering how the Houser brothers could possibly follow it up. The answer came in 2018 with Red Dead Redemption 2,
yeah.
And it exceeded fans' expectations in every way.
Nothing means more to me than this game. I would kill for it, I would happily die for it. I wish things were different, but it weren't us who changed.
That story, by the way, Red Dead Redemption 2, highly recommend. It's a beautiful story.
Red Dead 2's sprawling, immersive world depicted the dying days of the Wild West.
Isn't this the same game where they also had like I'm sorry if I'm not wrong, and I could be speculating, or my memory might be a bit fuzzy. Didn't they have like the whole it's cold enough that the horse balls also just compress? You feel me? Just they have like certain mechanics that just feel like a bit too extensive for the game, but it was still there as part of the game. You feel me?
The critics unanimously praised it for its depth of storytelling, character development, stunning visuals, and unprecedented attention to detail.
Yeah.
Rockstar had once again raised the bar.
Unprecedented attention to detail.
For the entire industry, and the numbers spoke for themselves.
Of course.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is currently the 6th best-selling game of all time, with over
I did not know that.
67 million copies sold worldwide. It's incredible to think that the Red Dead franchise, with just a handful of titles, has reached such monumental success.
Yeah.
But as the dust settled, fans again turned their attention toward Rockstar's flagship series.
The GTA.
It's astounding to see how GTA 5 still holds up today.
Oh, no, it's still an incredible game.
When it was originally released for PS3 and Xbox 360. Red Dead Redemption 2 gave us a taste of what was possible on PS4
hardware,
and
yes.
Xbox One.
Yeah.
We got a problem. There's a ton of cops out there.
Masterpiece, a triumph, one of the finest games ever made.
But now with the next generation of consoles,
5.
everyone wants to know what Rockstar has planned for Grand Theft Auto 6.
You know Sony's there in the background. Like, every single console generation we had a GTA. Come on, let's go. Let's go. What are we coming up with?
For years, fans were scouring the internet for any crumb of information about it. Rumors.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. The the Rockstar NDA for GTA 6 must be like legendary, okay? Must be like the most bulletproof document on the planet. You so much as speak a word about development or leak something that's genuinely there, your life is now enslaved servitude. You feel me? You are not saying another word ever again. You feel me? I would not be surprised. This is on some like ninja lore type shit, basically. Where it's like you do a leak, the next moment like the illegal ninjas basically come in and then capture you, or basically, you know, knock you out. You feel me? That's just most probably that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Were everywhere, but official details were scarce. Unfortunately, the first bit of news was not good. Shortly after releasing Red Dead Redemption 2, Dan Houser took a leave of absence and never came back.
Oh.
He officially left Rockstar Games in 2020, and rumors suggest it was because of a severe case of burnout after more than a few 100-hour work weeks. At that point, though, Rockstar's next game had already been in development for 7 years, so no need to worry. Dan Houser's genius will be all over Grand Theft Auto 6. In December 2023, Rockstar finally dropped its first official trailer.
Lucia, do you know why you're here? Bad luck, I guess.
With over 90 million views, the video broke YouTube's 24-hour view record for a non-music video. So needless to say, GTA 6 is shaping up to be the most hyped game of all time. It could also be the most ambitious game ever made.
Right.
Well, look who's back.
And this year, the Game Award goes to Grand Theft Auto 6. Congratulations, Rockstar.
Okay.
One of the most jaw-dropping rumors is its budget. Unconfirmed reports suggest that Rockstar could be pouring over $2 billion.
I've heard that number before, but I don't know. $2 billion for a game is crazy.
To make and market GTA 6, which would make it the most expensive game ever.
I'm actually curious. I'm actually very curious what I think people would be willing to pay for a game like this. Like, sure, you consider it AAA, but then, like, how much are people going to be? $90? $100 games? $120?
To put that into perspective, that's around 7.5 times what it costs to make GTA 5.
Yeah.
And if you combine the budgets of Star Citizen, Genshin Impact, and Cyberpunk 2077, some of the most expensive games ever.
And Star Citizen is saying a lot. He's not wrong. Star Citizen is like an entire like macrocosm of money suction into itself. You feel me? That's saying something. Not even talking about the gacha games.
It still falls short of GTA 6's budget.
Yeah.
So, what do we know about GTA 6? Well, this time it will be set in modern-day Miami and follow two main characters. One of them, for the first time, is a female.
Trust?
Trust. As for gameplay and story details, it's too early to tell. But looking back on Rockstar's history, there's one bet we're willing to make. Throughout their entire career, Sam and Dan Houser have relentlessly obsessed over making each and every one of their games bigger, more immersive, and more realistic than the last one.
Right.
No matter who they offend along the way. It's what's kept Rockstar at the pinnacle of the gaming industry. The wait has been long this time around,
right.
But if history is any indication, it's going to be well worth it.
Okay.
Rockstar Games is more than just a group of rebels. They're revolutionaries. Their passion and vision have shaped an entire generation of gamers, and we can't wait to see what else
I'm gonna have to go back here a second.
Games is more than just a group of rebels. They're revolutionaries. Their passion and vision have shaped an entire generation of gamers, and we can't wait to see what else they have in store for us. And who knows? Maybe we'll all still be alive by the time we get to play GTA.
And we're hoping.
7.
GTA 7. Oh God. Okay, Explorist, shout out. This is a solid video, 100%. But at the same time, who isn't excited for GTA 6 though? Like, as much as I could have like, my reservations on like the online only mode, the other things as well. But generally speaking, we know what they're gonna release is probably gonna change the gaming landscape. You feel me? So I am excited. I'm hopeful it'll drop at some point in 2026. 2027? 2026 for sure, at least. End of 2025? Probably 2026. But regardless, we'll wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. And I will catch you beautiful bastards in the next one. Peace. Take care. Nice.